Hello guys, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and I ran into this really interesting comment a little while ago, and it made me think like, oh my goodness, that is such an important thing to talk about. Like, that is such an obstacle that people run into when looking to recover, and it's just been popping up here and there. So I wanted to, tell you guys about it as soon as it was sort of on my mind and let you know so that you don't have to like run into that same obstacle with your recovery. So first, I just want to celebrate. I'm so happy you guys are here. It's the holiday season, which can be like a really, really happy time. I know it can also be a really scary time, and I spent so many years being terrified of this time of year, but I just want you to know like there is freedom and there is peace. So I want to celebrate with you and want to celebrate just a little bit about how the holidays have been going so far and give you sort of a before and after of like, what freedom feels like and what it was like before. So I just got done with Thanksgiving, just got back, and man, when I was during the Thanksgiving time, the holiday time in my bulimic days, it would have been a complete terror. Man, I would have been so scared, but at the same time, I was like really like manically excited about the food too. So it was this very weird back and forth. And how it looked like is I would have planned for days and days. It's just been so interesting to think back on this about how different it is now. It's just like I have to keep in touch with this stuff, right? Because it just seems like such a different person and such a world ago. And so it's just been coming up sort of this time of year. So I would have, planned for days. I would have put a ton of mental energy into deciding if and what I would have let myself eat on Thanksgiving. I would have counted calories the whole time, like trying to like evaluate like, oh, what's in this homemade stuffing? Like, trying to count every calorie, all the macros. And I would have counted them right up until when I would have started binging. And then like it would have switched, and then I would just eat and just never ever feel full. And I would have been mentally distracted the whole time, just wishing I could be alone, resenting that I had to be with these people that I loved. And when all I wanted to do was either just binge in peace or go and just go for a run and run in the freezing cold until my body felt acceptable again. Like, it was just so miserable. There was one time where I was just so freaked out and miserable about the food that I just started walking. Like, I left the house and I just started walking, and it was really cold and I didn't have like a coat, and I was so cold and I was just crying uncontrollably and so freaked out about the food and my body and just why was this happening and why couldn't I stop? And I felt like I couldn't turn back. Like, I just kept getting farther and farther away from the house, and I kept getting colder and colder and crying more and more. I felt so crazy. In fact, a family member like drove their car out to like try to find me because like I felt like I couldn't turn back. Like, I was just so freaked out. Oh, I'm remembering all this now. But it was really terrible. So I just want to be a witness to you guys, along with, hundreds of other women who are now free, that you can be totally, totally free of the struggle. This Thanksgiving, so not too long ago at all, I got to see a bunch of different groups of family. And guess what? All of them took us out to buffet dinners. I had no control over the food. We ended up going to 4 buffets in 4 days. And that would have been doom for me before. But you know what? It was no big deal. There was zero panic. There was zero planning. There was zero making up for anything I ate, because I didn't eat stuff I didn't want to. And because I met my set point weight, I didn't gain any weight. Like, I ate differently, but it didn't matter. Like, it didn't impact me physically at all. Because I'm at my set point weight, I was present with people, and I probably couldn't name for you like what I ate at any one of those meals now. Like, I might remember things here and there, but it just doesn't take up cognitive space anymore. So thank you guys so much for being here and your celebrations with your ups and downs, and thank you for letting me share with you. For those of you just turning in, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, ending eating disorders. So freedom is so cool, you guys, and everything about life is just better, just not having to be freaked out about food anymore. And that's why I'm here and doing what I do. And I can show anyone how to be at peace with food, but I cannot set their limits on their freedom. And that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. This has just come to mind with some comments that have come up on different posts here and there. You know, it's like, you know, I reach in different places and people who know me or don't know me, like they comment, and that's important. Like the discussion is important, but some things have come up that I'm like, oh man, that's such an important thing to address. So I'll give you an example. I made a post the other day and there was a super angry woman that commented on this post. And what she was angry about is that she was super angry that I was suggesting that people could be free from their eating disorders. She was commenting things like, you know, people with eating disorders are going to live with this for the rest of their lives, and how dare you say anything different? And so this is a great example, you guys. Do you see the limits that she has decided for herself about freedom or about eating disorders? I want to contrast that with, there's another woman in our program who, she had an eating disorder for 35 years. And she told me, wow, as soon as I learned that I could actually be free of this, I was so excited. Notice where her limits were, right? Do you see how she didn't set that limit? And I will let you guess which one of these women doesn't have an eating disorder anymore. We don't get what we want, you guys. We get what we expect and what we think is possible. So the great first step is to just take a look without judgment on what limits you've decided on. And we all have things that we've decided on, and awareness is the first step. So that's why I say, like, without judgment. Like, I had limitations on what I thought was possible for me as well. So first you want to have that awareness. Then you want to ask yourself, oh, am I willing to see it another way? Just put that question out there. Am I willing to see it another way? So here are some examples, and I'll put it in, you know, for those of you who are familiar with my principles of calling out the chatter, you know, just that part of your brain that wants to keep you in the same patterns that you've always been in, right? So I'll say the chatter is saying, and these are some limitations, some examples that might come up for you. The chatter is saying, well, I'm only okay with gaining freedom if I don't gain any weight. Notice the limitations there. Oh, well, I can only get free if I can lose weight at the same time. Oh, well, I can only get free after I fix my relationships. I can only get free when I'm not depressed anymore. I can only get free if the solution doesn't cost anything or if it isn't above this amount. Oh man, like there is always a cost to our limitation. So a quick example there. Like I have talked to women, I'm thinking of a woman specifically, I've talked to women who have spent over $100,000 on their continued bulimia. Like there is a cost to continuing with an eating disorder. But she was totally decided that she would never spend more than $300 to fix it. So notice like the cost of those limitations. If you have a limitation on what you are willing to do to end this, then that is a limitation on what's available to you. Another example is the chatter saying like, oh, it's going to be, you know, hard for me, or it's going to take a really long time because I've been doing this for so long. And you guys, like this is a normal thing. Just examine the limitations that you have, because those limitations may be the very thing that is keeping you back from being free. And I had these limitations too. So an example of what came up for me was, oh, well, I can't try this thing because I have to give what I'm trying now, you know, enough of a chance. I have to keep going with this. I am so glad that I was willing to see it another way. You guys, I could have still been doing that other thing that wasn't working, that I felt, well, I just have to give it more of a chance. I could have still been doing that, as opposed to telling you now, like, yeah, I went to 4 buffets in 4 days and like, I was fine. So doing what works to be free, like if you're open to it, then you can, you know, let those limitations go. The beautiful thing is that once you're aware of the limits that you've decided on, you can undecide on them. Yay! You have the power to choose what you are open to. So if you would like some help on the journey, you can book a free session at www.lydiawente.com/apply. You can check out free videos on lydiavideo.com, you know, if you're open to it. So Lydia, the lifestyle coach, free woman, signing off. Mwah.